What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So the Kizuna Clash against Borsalino is going to be debuting very soon, starting tomorrow night. And this is going to be a regular Kizuna Clash, not a super boss, so you don't have to stress about building multiple different teams against a super boss or anything like that. Of course, the new Kizaru is going to be getting his super evolution, the Rumble Kizaru, so that's going to be dope. He's actually a really good unit. If you guys want to see a breakdown of his abilities, go and check out the video on the channel. One thing that they have actually altered in this event is, obviously with the recent edition of 15.1, is that they have introduced the Super Turbo Kizuna Potion. Honestly, I would just suggest saving it. It's probably better to use it in a super boss sense. I'm probably just going to hoard these potions over time and not really use them, but in theory, they are going to be quite good. Another thing that they've actually done is that they have reduced the amount of tickets that boxes 1 to 6 actually need to complete, which I think is really good, because it means that you're going to be getting to, you know, all of those rewards is like just faster than what the base level was. The thing that I am concerned about, though, is I wonder what the Kizuna Insignia amount is going to be. Hopefully they don't remove the amount of Kizuna Insignia that you can actually achieve in these boxes, because you can only get them within boxes 1 to 6, and that's important for newer players. Again, one other thing that they've actually altered in this Kizuna Clash is that they've gone ahead and added a different ranking reward. So right here, where it says personal ranking rewards at the bottom of this paragraph, where this was not here beforehand. So they had the alliance rewards, they had alliance rank and all of that stuff. Personal ranking rewards was not a part of a normal 10-star Kizuna Clash, which is crazy. So this time you can get a maximum, this is like if you're in first place, up to 3 million bounty, up to 32 additional rainbow gems, and up to 38 rainbow tavern medals, and some additional rewards will be there as well. So I think that these very minor additions that they've done could actually make Kizuna Clash a bit more enjoyable. You get ultimately more rewards out of it. You can get to box 7 faster, let's hope. It all depends on the implementation of this. And of course, the Turbo Potion is also a good implementation. It's just, well, it's a good idea. The implementation of that idea is not very good, which is typical Bandai, right? So with all of that out of the way, let's actually get into breaking down what these fights are all about. So in the Kizuna Clash, there's going to be 2 fights. There's a Dex and a Sai version. So this is our first team against the Dex version. Of course, we're going to be using the new Jewelry Bonnie from the Kizuna Clash Sugo Fest as our friend captain. Let's do a little bit of a brief rundown in terms of the gimmicks for this fight. So Strength, Dex, and Int are characters that receive cooldowns, so you want to build teams around those typings. Stage 2, there's a Sentomaru boss here with immunity. There's normal attacks only, and then there's this effect here where any healing that you do will be dealt as damage to you instead for the 4 turns. And that's also giving you 4 turns of despair and 3 turns of damage threshold. There is also an interrupt where it says basically whenever you perform any action, if that effect of healing into damage is still activated on your side of the crew, then the enemy will heal your crew by 80,000. But remember that if you have that debuff, it's going to be doing damage to you instead. So essentially, your first special that you launch on stage 2 has to be the ability to remove the healing into damage debuff. And then when you kill this stage on stage 2, they do 30,000 damage to you. So dealing around that is pretty annoying. In terms of how our team is going to be getting around it, on stage 2, we're going to just use the Friend Captain Bonnie special. That's going to pretty much deal with everything, because Bonnie special will remove the healing debuff. It's going to remove the damage threshold as well. And then we also have the support of Rayleigh on our Luffy to remove the additional turn of despair that we're inflicted with. So we're going to be able to get around stage 2 pretty comfortably. Remember that Bonnie will be super effective against all types in this event, so she's going to be doing a lot of damage. Moving into the final stage, of course, at level 31 and above. Of course, if we beat level 31 and above, it's going to beat all the ones before it. So weakness class against Free Spirit is something to note, because it means if you run like a full Free Spirit team, you just get double damage for free, so that's nice. You can see that there is a 98 turn 1.1 times attack boost. That's really frustrating. There's also a barrier. There's also a damage limit, whereas I just accidentally skipped it. A damage limit. So you can only do 70% of the enemy's HP. So at like best case scenario, the enemy will have 30% remaining, and you have to like stall one turn basically to fully kill the enemy. It's very, very frustrating. There is also block slots on your top row, poison slots on your crewmates, and then for 3 turns, if you attack with any of these slots, you do 90% less damage. So essentially, you need to use strength slots or you need to use recovery slots in order to actually do damage against Bonnie. There's also going to be paralysis, there's going to be rainbow shield, there's a territory, and then there's also an interrupt here where if you don't have normal attacks only, so if you're doing like some kind of cheese mechanic to get around normal attacks only, they kind of deal with that. And then after the first turn, because you have to take an additional turn on this fight, there's going to be some burn and there's going to be a heal. Of course, if you didn't remove that debuff on the previous stage, that heal is going to be pretty detrimental to you, but generally speaking, that's not going to be a problem if you removed the debuff beforehand. So in terms of how this team is getting around it, we already talked about stage 2. Bonnie special should solo that stage without a problem. I'm wondering about matching slots though, but I think when you activate Bonnie special, she will also give you an attack boost for your strength and free spirit characters, so that shouldn't be a problem for getting through that stage. And then for the extra stuff, right? So first of which, we have this Monkey D. Luffy, which is a free-to-play arena. This Luffy's really good because his special will remove poison and change block slots into matching and give us a chain lock. So what this essentially does is it gets rid of the poison slots, gets rid of the block slots, so we'll have a full board of matching slots, and we'll also go ahead and get a chain lock. Now, of course, there is the ability where we have to use slots that are, you know, obviously not... we have to use only strength or recovery slots, which is obviously a thing. We have to deal with that. So the way that we're going to get around that is with the swift power of editing. We're going to change that Sabo on our team into Bon Clay. So Bon Clay has the ability, obviously, to give us a full board of recovery slots, and you can change his type and class into whatever you want. So you can just change him into like a strength fighter free spirit, and he's going to be doing a ton of damage. He also gives you a base attack boost, which will be nice. And even though he is a Psi unit, so he doesn't actually receive cooldown in this quest, he does have the potential ability of cooldown reduction to give him a ton of cooldown at the start, so it shouldn't really be a problem anyway. And then we also have the Nami special, so Nami and Karina, we're going to use them as a captain because we can get a dupe drops, which can give us more tickets and stuff. Their special ability in the Nami form is the most important because it does remove enemies' damage reduction, which the enemy has, and it removes 6 turns of paralysis as well as giving an attack boost, but that's fine. But just being able to remove those gimmicks is very important. We also have Odin, which can give us an orb boost. That's basically all he's here for. You can replace Odin with literally any other orb booster you want. Do note though that we do have the Jinbei support attached to Nami and Karina. You can literally attach it to basically anyone that uses their special on the final stage, just to give us an orb lock to lock the slots that we are receiving from Bon Clay. It's very important that we have that, just to ensure that we get the recovery slots. Ultimately, one other thing that you could do is if you build your team around the Egghead tag, you could potentially just use the Bonnie super type. Bonnie does give you a full board of recovery slots, so you don't realistically have to use the Bon Clay effect, but if you do opt to try and use the super type of Bonnie, then you need to have, what is it? You need like a Vegapunk, you need Bartholomew Kuma, a Borsalino, or a Sentomaru. I guess on this team we do have the Lilith, so yeah, that actually does make sense. So we could actually go back to Sabo. That's the whole reason why I had that. So we're going to go ahead and go back to Sabo. So you could use Bon Clay if you want. If you don't have Usopp and Lilith, then it does make things a little wonky, but Usopp and Lilith are a really nice addition to the team, mainly just because they actually have a pretty good special ability as well, which can give you a chain lock. You'd ultimately probably want to use Usopp and Lilith's special first because they give you a chain boundary, which is much better than Luffy's chain lock, but it really depends on what you want to do. And then Sabo can give you color affinity, and remember, because we have a full team of free spirit, we're going to do a ton of damage to the enemy because they have weakness class against free spirit. So yeah, this team should work pretty well, and with Nami Karina as the captain, getting that dupe drop is just a little bit of bonus that you get for clearing the Kizuna Clash. Alright, so moving on to the next boss, which is the Psi variation. This one took me a little bit of time to actually get right. This is a really interesting boss. There's just a lot of things going on here. So, Fighter Free Spirit Cerebral, the classes you want. Stage 2 here, you get a full board of block slots which are locked. There's also 4 hits of hunger. 4 hits of hunger is really annoying because you do need multiple characters to get around that. To my knowledge, there isn't a character in the game that has a hunger potential ability that removes more than 3. So you do need 2 characters with hunger, and you can see that there is a chain attack down. You need to have 3.0 or higher, or 3.1 or higher, in order to actually start doing damage. There is also damage damage reduction based on your slots by 90% for 3 turns, and that is against recovery slots, which is really annoying because if you're running like the Bonnie squad, then yeah, you typically are using recovery slots, but basically if you have anything except a recovery slot, you're going to be doing normal damage. So in terms of how we're getting around this one, we're using a pretty interesting squad here. Again, friend captain Bonnie, very important. We're going to super swap with Usopp and Lilith. This is going to be important for us because their switch effect here is actually quite good, being able to change their own slot into bomb, and they also change adjacent slots into bomb, and then with their crewmate ability they make them beneficial, so it just essentially gives you like more than half of your team with matching slots. And then we can go ahead and use the Bonnie special ability, which gives us the effect to remove the it gives us an attack boost. It gives us the attack boost, of course, against the enemy. And then when we activate our Lilith, or Usopp Lilith special, it gives us a 3-turn chain boundary. We have a look at this special ability. It says that if the crew, right here at the top, if the crew has an attack boost when the special is launched, you get a 2.75 chain boundary for 3 turns, and then after that you get an attack boost for 3 turns. But essentially you're going to use Bonnie first, which gives you an attack boost, then you use Lilith, which gives you a chain boundary. And because of the way that Bonnie is designed, is that if you have 3 or more Bonnie Pirates or Egghead on the team, it'll extend the duration of chain locks and attack boost by 1. So it actually makes Bonnie attack boost last for 3 turns into the last stage, and it will make the chain boundary last for 4 turns, which is great. And then just with super switching Usopp and Lilith, Bonnie special, Usopp special, we can kill stage 2 very comfortably. When we move into the final stage though, there's lots of things going on here. Of course, we're going to look at level 31 and above. There is going to be a barrier, there is going to be damage threshold, there's going to be an intimidate against attack up, but we can basically ignore that. There is despair for your captains, 6 turns of attack down. There is an effect where any recovery from recovery slots or similar slots is dealt as damage. There's 12 turns of burn, which is pretty hectic. And then if you activate a chain locking special on the final stage, you get tap limit, slot bind, which is really annoying. And speaking of annoying, there is another effect where the enemy, when you defeat them, will fully revive with 10 million or 1 million HP. And then they bind everyone except your captain for 10 turns. But they do remove that pesky barrier that they do have. And then there's the additional effects after 1 turn has passed. They can special bind, they can reverse, just really annoying stuff. With the way that this team kind of works, none of that shouldn't be a problem, because Gear 5 Luffy deals with any of the bind we're inflicted with, any special reverse we're inflicted with. We have the team built so we can use the EX Super to bypass the defensive effects, so we don't have to worry about the barrier, we don't have to worry about the damage threshold. And then as for the other characters on this team, this Sanji, there's a couple reasons why we specifically use this character. He's an Egghead unit, which helps with the Bonnie conditions. He has also got the Hunger potential ability, so with Sanji and Bonnie Friend Captain, we can get around the Hunger completely. And he does have a special that can remove up to 6 turns of burn. So with Bonnie's Captain ability and the Sanji special, we can remove 12 turns of burn completely, so we don't have to worry about that at all. And then the final character here that we got is the waifus, Hancock, Nami, and Robin Super Evolution. Their special ability is great, it does remove paralysis, and then more importantly, the attack down for this stage. Removes that attack down for us, which is great. It gives us healing. It also will give us an orb boosting effect, which is great, gives us a lot of damage. And then we do have Sabo and Koala as our final character. Now, Sabo and Koala, the only reason why we have them on the team is just for the revive. We can use their switch effect, we can activate their special, and it gives us color affinity, attack boosts, and matching slots just to ensure that we get the kill on the revive. The enemy only revives with 1 million HP, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal anyway, but you know, if you have extra space to do it, you can just use it on the final stage, but you could also probably save it for the revive just to be safe. And then with the Luffy special as well, which gives us a ton of damage with his color affinity and orb boost on his side of the field. We also have the Jinbei support attached to, as long as it's a special that we activate on the final stage, just to lock our slots to ensure that we have matching slots on the revive. Either way, you could keep the Sabo and Koala for the revive to give you some matching slots anyway, so I guess it isn't really that big of a deal. And then I guess just briefly mentioning the rail support on Luffy, just to remove that despair that we're inflicted with on the final stage. So essentially, we are using the Bonnie and Usopp and Lilith for stage 2, and then everyone else on the final stage. And it should get through pretty comfortably, Hopefully I haven't missed anything, but I think it should work all according to plan. So that is pretty much going to wrap it up for me for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and good luck on your grinding for the Kizuna Clash, which debuts tomorrow night. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.